Giant companies like Facebook, Google, and Uber have thousands of world-class engineers, and they invest hundreds of millions of dollars per year into a very important thing: developer experience. Why do you think they're able to build such good products? Well, one of the reasons is they have people working on tools that make developers super productive. But if you're watching this and you're not at one of those big companies, what do? Today, we're sitting down with the co-founder of Trunk, Ellie Schleifer. He's one of the smartest people I ever got to work with when I was just 23 starting my career at Microsoft. And as luck would have it, many years later, we recently led a Series A for his company alongside Andreessen Horowitz. So now I get to work with him again.
That's why people love early development. It's like, oh, I'm alone, I get a lot of stuff done, I can code away. But as soon as you add, 2 or 3 people to a team, everything starts to slow down. It's like the mythical man month, hits you and you're like, I can't get stuff done because I have to coordinate with a bunch of people. But with good tooling, you actually can get some of that time back. And we think that, there's a tremendous opportunity to build like a Google engineer. At Google, they've invested tremendously building this huge library of tools that keep everyone on Rails. And the truth is only really Google and maybe Facebook have enough tooling in place to do that. Everyone else is kind of scrapping along. That's why we started Trunk. We want to bring Google quality developer experience to everybody.
If you're an engineering founder or engineering manager of any kind, you're going to want to watch this to the end to see how you can get all the tools Facebook and Google engineers take for granted. Let's get started. Now picture this, you're an engineer and you show up to your desk. You sync to the newest code base and you try to run things, but it's broken. What's your next step? Hit Slack and ask for help. Multiply that out by dozens of people hitting the same thing, and you just burned $10,000 worth of developer time in a single day. Multiply that out by all the times it happens per year, and that's $1 million off your runway. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens every day at most startups. And that's why Trunk Actions is here to save you.
We were just thinking, there's a better way to do this. The rules for how to build your site are already known to your repository. So what if we could actually encode that inside your site using Trunk Actions? And that's what we're going to demonstrate here right now. So in our case, what we've done is created a file trigger. And the file trigger just specifies that the documentation changes that happen to my markdown files in this one folder should trigger a particular action. And that's going to basically show me the docusource command I should run. So it's as simple as going into our docs here, which are all up on our website. And I can go into the intro file and I want to change this particular entry, and I'll do a quick change to this file. And I save it. And when I'm saving that, what actually is happening is in the background, the Trunk daemon is running, it's monitoring these changes, firing off this custom action trigger. And all it says is, when one of these files ends, create this little entry inside my VS Code extension to let me know how to run the Docusaurus site. So if you go right now to the Trunk extension, you'll see we have this cute little Docusaurus link right here. If I click run action, it's going to spin up that site, and I didn't have to look it up. It's just going to do it for me, and I can quickly go to work and make sure that what I did looks right inside the web. And that's really what it is. It's a simple if this then that for your repository. So if I want to make a change to this file, then spin up this website, you're gonna get to work. So you can see here, this thing spun up. Now I can click on the website and here's my changes, it's reflected. But that was just as simple as clicking the button, it spun up. I didn't have to figure it out. I didn't have to understand how the thing was run. It just told me what to do. And I think that's so important to kind of have that helping hand to keep you kind of in flow. Everything we do at Trunk is about keeping engineers in flow, so they don't have to shift between looking stuff up, bothering other engineers for things. You should just keep doing your work and stay productive.
That's the surprising thing about developer experience. Just like an iPhone literally started as just a phone and a web browser and gradually became much more than that in society because of the apps they've created, Trunk Actions is surprisingly powerful because it's a jumping off point for those tons of uses teams of developers need to work together. Take, for instance, your package.json file, your dependencies for your libraries and your project getting pulled in. Millions of engineers every day have to remember to do this manually. which really adds up because sometimes you just don't know when you need to do it.
So what we've done is we've actually wired this again into our system for trunk actions. So I changed the package.json file, and it's going to pick up the change. It's then going to run a dry run of yarn install or npm install to see if there is something to do. And if there is, it's going to give a little pop-up to let me know, hey, you should run yarn install. So instead of me suffering through this, it just tells me what I should do to get things working again. We actually had an engineer start the company. She was new to the company. She was working along, really well. She's working for months on end. And then someone changes the package.json file. And after, struggling with this thing for half a day, she finally slacks the team like, hey, everybody, what's happening here? I'm getting this weird error because it'll show up as some random, compilation issue in TypeScript. Most engineers want to try to figure things out for themselves. But really, it was just a case of there's a new dependency that was added. You have to run yarn install or npm install to fix that up. In this case, she just didn't know to do that. So had she had trunk actions, she could have just kept working. Instead, she lost half a day to this thing.
Can you imagine developers all over the world losing half a day to something like that just for no reason? Like we said, that's $1,000 set on fire. Trunk actions works on most dependency managers, and they're adding new ones all the time. Yarn, npm, whatever you got.
And then you'll get a little pop-up inside the actions thing to tell you, hey, you need to run yarn install or npm install, and then you're back to business. And that is just like magic. When this thing starts happening for you, you're like, this is a better way to build code.
Trunk actions can be used for almost any development change, whether it's dependencies or even database schema changes. It takes the guesswork out of developer teams, and that's great for developer experience. So you probably use Git, most people do, but you might get annoyed once in a while because you have a big merge and it's a conflict. But when you're a small team, that's manageable. It goes from manageable to totally nuts if you have dozens of developers or even a dozen or more. And that's why Trunk has now made merge queues, the way all the best development teams do code merging, available now for everyone. Here's Ellie again, showing us an example of, just a run-of-the-mill, day-to-day problematic code merge, the kind everyone hits sooner or later.
Problem is that these two tests work independently, but these changes actually are logically in conflict if you land them together. And this will create what we generally call like a broken main, where you've landed code that was individually okay, but when combined together is broken. So in this case, we kind of, playfully created a Heisenberg test case. So we'll take a look at the code quickly here. In this case, we have added a negative test to say that when someone is saying a particular input, if the input is Heisenberg, it should say you're right. And if the input is Walter, it should say you're wrong. That's a valid test. You can see from the check that it passes and the thing is all green. So great, that engineer is ready to land that code. We'll look at the other PR here. The other pull request says add more allowed names. So this is another engineer, let's say you, Gary, went in and said, you know what, there should be additional names that are allowed inside the system. I'm gonna say the allowed names list now includes Heisenberg and Walter. And I'm gonna make sure that the test, checks against this new vector that I checked, allowed names instead of a hard coding this word Heisenberg. This is like obviously a trivial example, but this kind of stuff happens all the time. As soon as you have more than one engineer working on something, you're gonna have cases where logical conflicts can show up. And when that happens, it's super dangerous. What can happen is, you'll land these things, they're gonna land fine, but then another engineer a day from now, 2 days from now is gonna try to put up a pull request, and the unit tests are gonna be failing. And the first thing they're gonna think is, oh, I broke something. So they're gonna go and try to figure it out. And then it turns out it wasn't them that broke it. It was because these two PRs landed in conflict with each other. And trying to tease that apart is a giant waste of time. It doesn't move your product ahead. It doesn't keep you focused, doesn't help you at all. It just is a way to burn time. This is why you need a merge queue.
Now, let's look at how much better it is when you do use a trunk merge queue.
I'm just gonna quickly call out here, we'll say trunk queue. So trunk will listen to comments on top of the pull requests. When you say queue, it's gonna tell it to go and queue this pull request. So I'm gonna queue this one and the other one. Now we know that these two pull requests are in conflict with each other. And the merge queue is gonna protect the main from getting broken. So I've queued both of these. Now let's quickly switch over to actually look at this in our merge queue UI. In this case, these two pull requests are being tested. Now, the interesting thing to note is that they're actually being tested collectively against each other. So the first pull request here is going to actually pass because that one we know can land because there's nothing in conflict with it. But what we'll find out is that this other pull request that basically was logically in conflict with the pull request that landed before it is not, and it's going to fail out. And we are going to protect main, and instead of allowing this thing in and breaking everyone's and ruining everyone's day, we're going to protect main and keep it green. So the main pull request that is going to be in conflict will get kicked out of the queue, and the engineer can go sync up. We'll see that, Matt made a change to this particular file. I need to go and update my code, and then I can re-queue it and land it. And we've just saved everyone else from all the hassle of trying to figure out what went wrong. You can see here, we just have the 2 results for the 2 pull requests that I just landed. Here is the green one that just landed. That was pull request number 8. Then you can see the pull request number 7 was rejected. If I click on that and try to understand what happened, I can see it was submitted, it was tested, and it failed. And I click through back onto the workflow, and I'll see inside GitHub that this thing failed to build because it was logically broken. So here's our test that it says that the previous test was no longer passing, and we don't let this through. So we protected main, we keep everything green, and we also gave quick insight into the engineer to understand why was my pull request rejected. I see this test failed. It used to be green, but now actually main has moved forward since last time I ran CI.
So that's a simple but common example that happens on every dev team constantly. If you're working with other engineers, conflicts are a huge nightmare.
If it happens once every month, you just lost like half a day or a day of work. And that's, a tremendous waste of time. And no one, is happy to go home at the end of the day and be like, what's great at work today? I figured out there was a logical conflict as 2 pull requests landed together. And then I sorted that whole thing out and doing a git bisect. No one wants to do that. People just want to move things forward. It's a thing that we hear so much from engineers. It's like the reason why I want to go work at a startup is because I want to get stuff done. Because at a larger organization, when the tooling is not in place, it's very hard to get things done. You're just spending so much time kind of fighting uphill against all the other stuff that has to happen to make software engineering work.
Developer experience is how you can get untold hours of time from your most expensive resource, engineers. So what does it look like to save yourself from the mythical man month? We just saw 2 really powerful examples of saving many hours of developer time. Just as a samurai must have the best sword, so too must your engineering team build with the best developer experience. And that's what Trunk is for.
So everything we're showing here today is available today on the internet. You can go and download it super quickly. Just go to our homepage, trunk.io, click on install, and we'll give you a curl link to get started. It's free for small teams, any team up to 10 engineers in commercial product, no problem, free for you to get started. Also, always free for open source. So any open source project out there, no matter how large, always free for you guys as well.
So that's it for this week. Code is inheriting the earth, and helping people build better code faster and helping engineers do their best work is, I think, one of the most valuable things a startup founder and engineer like Ellie could be doing. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you next week.